Good morning, everybody. This is
Right.
Travel Dream episode 8, Losing Your Identity Without Travel, something I think we are all experiencing right now. Joining us is Sarah Greaves-Gabbidon, travel writer and Jet Set editor-in-chief at jetsetsarah.com. Additionally, Heather Greenwood Davis, contributing editor and on-air storyteller for National Geographic Travel. Joining your hosts, me, Stephanie Rust, founder of Caribbean We and We Consulting, and Sophia Hyder Hock, founder and CEO of Papilia. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Hello from Miami.
Yeah, hopefully your live beautiful face pops back up soon, Sarah.
I hope so too. I hope so. Here we go. Here I am.
You're back.
There you are.
Hi. All right, now I see everybody. We're good to go.
Great. Heather, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you got into this adventurous world of travel writing?
Sure. So I'm a journalist by training, did journalism school and worked in hard news for a bit, and then actually started writing travel when I had my first son, who is about to turn 18. Scary. I was pregnant with him and went to a spa in Texas and fell in love with the idea of traveling and writing about it and telling stories related to families, and have been doing that ever since. So I write about travel. I do travel television shows. I talk about travel on TV and on podcasts and radio and you name it. And it's given me this incredible lifestyle and experiences that really, people dream about the life I've had. I've been very, very lucky.
Amazing. And you get to share some of that with your family as well?
Yeah, for a good chunk of it. And then, sort of the top of the pie, the icing on the cake was that we were able to spend a year between 2011 and 2012. We did a full year of travel around the world. So at that point, my kids were about 6 and 8. I'm married, so my husband was with us too, and we did 29 countries on 6 continents over the course of that year. So that was sort of the real pinnacle of things, but they've traveled with me throughout their lives.
Oh my gosh, that's so adventurous, and I'm sure they're better humans for it.
I think so. I didn't have any, test subjects that I left behind, but the kids I've raised seem all right.
Very good. And Sarah, how did you become the international mystery that is Jet Set Sarah?
Well, it's not very complicated, actually. So my degree, I'm actually, I guess, a hotelier by training. My degree is in hotel management. I did it in England, and we had to, it was what they call a sandwich degree, where you had to work in industry for the 3rd year. And I worked in Jamaica at a resort you might have heard of called Hedonism. It was quite a place to do your internship. But I did my internship there, and I ended up in the PR department, and I really loved that. And so my beginning actually in hospitality was working in travel PR. And then I segued quite nicely over from being the person who extends the media courtesies to being the person who receives the media courtesies, which it's a good deal. But the Caribbean is my beat. It's my passion. It's been my home. I used to be executive editor at Caribbean Travel and Life magazine. And when that folded, I decided to create my own brand, Jet Set Sarah. And basically, it's a way for me to share what I'm most passionate about, which is the Caribbean with the world. So I call myself a Caravangelist because I'm spreading the gospel of the Caribbean all over the world to anyone who will listen, and sometimes people who don't.
Well, and you do it so beautifully. It's always fun. Sarah's always finding the best shopping deals, food.
That's my specialty. That's my specialty subject, shopping. Absolutely. If you go to jetsetsarah.com, it's where my passions meet. So it's shopping, style, and fitness. I'm a big runner, so I run everywhere I go to. But I was just trying to find a way to make your passions into your purpose and hopefully your livelihood.
And you're based in Miami, so I always wake up and I see, you wake up before me, so I see your beautiful photos of Miami landscape in the morning through your runs.
Yes, my friends tease me that, Sarah, the sun will rise if you don't shoot a photo of it. It still will come up, but I can't help it. It never gets old. The sunrise is always beautiful. It's always different. It never gets old.
I agree. Great. Well, we're going to talk about some awesome properties today in the Caribbean and beyond. Sarah is going to lead off with one in Petit St. Vincent, which is a private island. And Sarah, I have a video to share, and then would you, after the video, like to speak to it?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
So I'll be quiet while we play the video.
Okay, and if everybody just wants to mute for a moment, sometimes it will play a bit better if we... All right, ladies, and we're back.
And we're back. So I have to tell you, can I start? Because I'm really excited about this. So I will confess, I'm a private island type of gal. I really am. And the first thing I must tell you about Petit St. Vincent is that from the US and from Miami, it's a bit of a haul. So you, like from Miami, you're going to fly into Barbados. Most people fly into Barbados. It's about a 3-hour flight from here. Then you take a puddle jumper, 45 minutes over to Union Island, which is one of 30-something Grenadines. The Grenadines are this tiny necklace of islands that runs between St. Vincent in the north and Grenada in the south. So you fly into Union Island. When you get to Union Island airstrip, then you get in a golf cart for 5 minutes. You get to the dock. Then you get in a boat, and half an hour later, you're at Petit St. Vincent. But it is so worth it. It's a bit of a haul, but it's really worth it. So it's like kind of like paradise, really, is what you think of paradise. It's just 115 acres, and there are only 22 cottages and villas. Some of them are on the beach. Some of them are on the hillside, but all of them are gorgeous. I like that it's high end. I mean, it's not cheap. It's $1,000 a night. I didn't say it was cheap, but it's low key. There's nothing pretentious about it. It's really just the luxury of privacy, which is of course something in this social distancing age we'll all be looking for. It's really relaxed. It's a resort that is romantic at the same time as being family friendly. Everyone has plenty of space. I said there are only 22 villas. Some are 1 bedrooms, some are 2 bedrooms. There's a great, the Grenadines are part of the yachting capital of the Caribbean. So there's a lot of yachties that come in, and they come up to this little bar and restaurant. There are 2 restaurants there, but the one that's open to the public is called Goatee's Bar. And there is, the food is fabulous. The floor of the restaurant is sand. They do a really good rum punch, which is very important. It's just a fantastic resort. What I like about it is that, like I said, it's posh, but it's not pretentious. The 22. Okay, so here's the thing. 2 things that make it really outstanding. Each cottage has a little bamboo mailbox outside and a flagpole. So if you don't want to be disturbed, maybe you're having some romantic time, you simply hoist up the red flag. Nobody comes by. But if you do need something, you hoist the orange flag, and then you put whatever you need, you write it down on a piece of paper, and you put it in the bamboo mailbox. And then there's a fleet of mini mokes. And a mini moke is like a beach buggy from the 60s that used to be made by Mini Cooper in England. They don't make them anymore. But at Petit St. Vincent, they actually have a workshop in which they make these mini mokes. They have a fiberglass mold. It's a completely open, buggy type thing. And they make this fleet of mini mokes, and they go around the island basically just checking to see what people need. So when you need something, you hoist the flag, and somebody miraculously comes by in a mini moke, gets you what you need, and brings it back. I love Petit St. Vincent because it's one of those places where the staff know how to walk that delicate line between being available to you and being up under your armpit. Sometimes that can be tough, particularly if you're going on honeymoon or, it's a romantic thing. But I really love it. And of course, there's a spa. It's a Balinese themed spa. It's up on the hillside. All I can remember about it is bliss. I sat in a chair had my feet in a bowl with, full the flower petals, Balinese style. And then I had the most amazing massage that honestly, I had to wait like maybe 45 minutes before I could leave to actually get back to my house. I was that relaxed. My body was like a wet noodle, which to me is always a sign that you've had a good spa treatment. So that's Petit St. Vincent.
Beautiful. And we do have a Venetian, is that how we say it? On the call, Petula?
Oh, Vincentian. She's from St. Vincent, you mean?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes.
Well, hello, St. Vincent. I wish I was there.
Seriously.
Totally. It sounds incredible. And I think in Anguilla they have those mooks as well, Sarah, don't they?
The mini milks, yes, the mini milk. There's a company in St. Bart's that makes them now, and a company in Anguilla who I've also, of course, mine had to be bright yellow. Last time I was in Anguilla, I did rent one and tool around the island, and they're just so much fun.
So fun. I love it. All right, Miss Heather, you were going to speak about Six Senses Douro Valley.
Yes.
Which sounds like a very special property. Would you like me to share your photos?
Sure, you can share them while I'm chatting. People can get something different to look at. But, the Douro Valley is in Portugal. That's the hotel there you're looking at. It's a 19th century manor house, and it actually really feels like a home. Like you feel like you're visiting friends when you're there. And part of that is just the Portuguese spirit. So anyone who's been to Portugal, like I've yet to meet anyone who's gone to Portugal and didn't love it and talk about moving there, and myself included. In a heartbeat, I would go and live in Portugal. And I can't say that about every place I've visited. Anyway, to get there to the Douro Valley, once you're in Portugal, you can cruise, you can take a train, you can drive. But for me, once I landed at the Six Senses, I had no real interest in leaving. It is absolutely a stunning property. The landscapes, as you can see, are gorgeous. The riverside is surrounded by sort of towns and valleys. You've got winding roads and vineyards. Port wine, right, is what Portugal and Porto in particular is famous for. Portugal's got tons of wine, but port is what we were closest to up there. Incredible gastronomy. We went to a restaurant, Chef Rui Paula probably did it, and it's just absolutely exquisite food. You sort of, once you're on site there, feel at home and like it's your own, and I certainly did. So the rooms themselves now are spacious, they're gorgeous, they feel like enclaves. When you were talking there, Sarah, about Petit St. Vincent, it reminded me, a lot of the words you used are quite similar to how I felt there, which was that you just felt if I had to quarantine somewhere, if I had to social distance somewhere, this is my spot. What you're looking at now are some jars in the Alchemy Bar. So some of the things that I really liked about Six Senses Douro Valley was that they had some programs that you could do while you were on site there that didn't require you to get back on those winding roads or leave this pristine environment. So the Alchemy Bar, we mixed scrubs using a lot of herbs and different ingredients, many of which were from the property itself. There was also a program where we could learn to make shrubs and tonics. So we made kombucha while we were sitting there. And then, if you don't want to do anything but eat, you can do that too. So this is actually a photo that I took in their restaurant. And you can see like the setup in there is just perfect for whether you are with friends or with your significant other or on your own. I really would love to go back there solo and just completely zen out in this spot. They do have a spa as well. So their spa is 10 rooms, but their whole wellness concept really encompasses everything from the food to the wine. My favorite drink you're looking at, Porto Tonico, which is just white port and tonic water on ice with a sprig of rosemary. Absolutely gorgeous and delicious. And this is us making some of the shrubs and tonics. So generally, Six Senses always is known for its wellness offerings, but Douro Valley just adds an entirely extra layer to the whole experience.
You're making me want to go there, Heather, right now.
You do. Everyone wants to go there. I'm telling you that. But just make sure you leave a room open for me because I'll be back.
Beautiful. Six Senses has an incredible wellness program, and I know they have an online complimentary offering during this time too. So if anybody's missing their wellness fix, go to Six Senses and you can experience it virtually.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, ladies. So we'll keep on travel dreaming. I have 2 new properties I need to go to already. This call is getting expensive. So Sarah, Park Hyatt St. Kitts is one that is high on my list, a new property, right?
Yeah, so it's probably coming up for 2 years old by the end of this year. But I think I was the first journalist to stay there when it first opened, and I was really impressed. Oh, and actually, speaking of opening, may I just say that Petit St. Vincent will reopen on November 1st. Is
Oh,
scheduled
perfect.
to reopen on November 1st, and Park Hyatt that I'm going to tell you about now, they will reopen on October 1st, hopefully, fingers crossed. So the thing I liked, there were many things I liked about the Park Hyatt, and it's really a resort of firsts. It's the first luxury resort that St. Kitts has had. It's also the first Park Hyatt hotel in the Caribbean, and it's also home to the first Miraval Life in Balance Spa in the Caribbean. So many firsts. Um, when you get there, so to fly to St. Kitts, St. Kitts is one of those islands that's not unknown but lesser known. It's actually interesting tip. St. Kitts was the very last Caribbean island to embrace tourism as its number one foreign exchange earner. They didn't let go of their sugar industry. I think their last sugar factory closed in the 1980s, if you can believe that. So they're the youngest in terms of tourism in the Caribbean. St. Kitts has the youngest tourism product, and I really like that. What that means for the visitor is that when you go to St. Kitts, people aren't in any way jaded at all. They're very welcoming and very excited about sharing their country with you. In fact, I told you it was one of the I told you that about sugar. The last sugar factory in the Caribbean was there, and when they used a railway that went mostly around the entire island to get the sugar cane from the cane fields to the port. And now they've repurposed that railway, and there's something called the sugar train that you can do, which is a great overview of St. Kitts. There's a lot of rum punch on the train. You can use it for weddings. So FYI, sugar. But anyway, back to St. Kitts. So you fly from Miami to St. Kitts. It's about 2.5 hours, and then it's about not long, less than a half an hour's drive to Park Hyatt St. Kitts. What Here's the thing I loved about this. You go to the Caribbean. Obviously, the Caribbean has a very strong colonial history, and whilst my pet peeve is that whilst slavery and colonialism is part of our history, it's not the only thing we have, right? And so I like that this was a brand new resort, and they did not fall back on the architectural vernacular of fretwork and all these colonial style elements. It's really very Caribbean contemporary. I love that it's modern. So when you go into the rooms, for example, it's very sleek, almost very colorful, almost have a sort of more colorful Scandinavian feel. It feels homey but not overdone. And when you actually enter the resort, I'm seeing the photos now. When you actually enter the resort, you get a really sort of Zen feeling, a sort of Kittitian Zen feeling. They're reflecting pools, and it's really gorgeous. But at the same time, they have managed to incorporate St. Kitts history into the resort. So that's the fisherman's restaurant that we're looking at. It's right on the beach, and literally, the beach is called Banana Bay. How great a name is that? And literally, they catch the lobster like off the side and basically prepare it to you. It's amazing. But I love the way architecturally they've made it modern, but they've also incorporated elements of the destination. So, for example, St. Kitts has a very famous fort called Brimstone Hill. It's an English colonial fort, and it has these stone archways. And actually, in the hotel, repeated on the pool deck, is the same stone archway. I don't know if you have those, but trust me, you have to go to Park Hyatt St. Kitts and have a look. It's great. And then, for example, in their spa, which we'll talk about in a second, there are lots of sugar mills all over St. Kitts. And so they've made a reproduction of a stone. See the Caribbean contemporary rooms? So like light and bright and airy, not too fussy. We don't need necessarily to have a 4-poster bed and heavy drapes in the Caribbean. I really love that. But anyway, back to the spa. So they have a replica sugar mill that they use. And okay. So this is a view from one of 12. There are 12 Nevis Peak Suites. I think that's one of them. And all of these Nevis Peak Suites have outdoor living rooms, their own rooftop pools, and of course, views of St. Kitts' sister island, Nevis, which is just across the water. I mean, who wouldn't want to wake up to that? Really?
Yeah, I only want to interrupt to say that I've also been there, Sarah, and everything she's
Yes.
saying is absolutely right. This place is stunning.
Gorgeous. I mean, look at it. I mean, who would not want to be there right now?
Yeah.
So maybe there's some spot. Okay, so that is one of the rooftop pools from one of the Nevis Peak Suites. It's just gorgeous. Not obviously it's not all inclusive, but it's regular EP. But it's great for families, great for couples. I could see it for a girlfriend's getaway. I mean, I could spend some time soaking in that tub. They have an excellent, a really, really good children's program, actually, that incorporates, I like that they incorporate local storytellers to come in and do like traditional folk tales for children as part of story time. I really like that. They have a little amphitheater and they do live performances for the children. It's really quite impressive. And then, so then the last thing, so gorgeous, so many good views. I don't know if it's possible to take a bad photo there. But the last thing I wanted to say about the spa was, so I told you that in the spa it's a Miraval Life in Bath. Oh, see, so those arches right there are completely reminiscent of Brimstone Hill, and so if you've ever been to St. Kitts, you will recognize that architectural vernacular from hundreds of years ago is being repeated here. And I just think that's really clever. And it's also a gesture of respect, to be honest, because I feel like if you're an outside company coming into a destination, it's a gesture of respect to reflect that destination in any way you can in the resort, in your resort offerings. And I just think that's beautiful. I will finally finish my spa point, which is that, so the spa is amazing. It is the first Miraval and only right now Miraval Life in Balance spa. There were two things that stood out about it for me. They have these hammocks that actually have, like in their relaxation zone, they have these hammocks that have actually canopies over the top of the hammock, so you literally like get climbing into a little cocoon and being suspended. I don't know if there are photos of that, but they're amazing. I've never seen a canopied hammock before or since. Oh, and then that. Okay, so you can't tell. So the sugar mill I keep starting to talk about and not finishing. This is inside the replica sugar mill, which they use for two things. You can either have three things. You can either have meditation inside there, like at sunrise or sunset. You can also do yoga. You see their yoga mats there. But then in the evenings, you can also do this sensory dinner, where it's just a dinner for two, and you're in the sugar mill, and I believe you're blindfolded. And it's like this blind dinner that this sensory experience with, I guess it's kind of messy too. I don't know, but there's not a lot of light. I think you're blindfolded, and it's a whole sensory experience. Let's just call it that. But I think it's really, really interesting and just so nice to see, large multinational resort companies actually making an effort to reflect the destination that they're in.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Look at that. Yeah, so that's Nevis Peak that you can see in the background, St. Kitts Sister Island. So that's also a great thing about St. Kitts as a destination, that you really get two for the price of one, because it's only about a 35-minute ferry ride from Basse-Terre, the capital of St. Kitts, over to Nevis. See that, and that is the resort entrance. So you see, it really puts you in this zen. The second you step off the plane and you arrive at the resort, you just feel instant zen.
And even if you didn't, I remember that they have quite an extensive rum collection, right? Don't they have a?
Oh yes, that's true.
So you feel zen eventually.
Yeah, eventually. If you're not zen immediately, you will be zen eventually. Yes, that is true. They have an amazing rum bar. I am the biggest lightweight, but I believe they have a rum bar with all these locally made rums, and they are just fantastic. You can get rum with passion fruit and all sorts of tropical fruits and roots and herbs. You have to. It's rude not to try it. Really, you have to.
Vivian had a good comment. She said the design lets the views do the talking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Gorgeous property. All right. And then Heather, you have a final property that you would like to share.
We're sort of coming full circle because we're going back to the Grenadines, which is where Sarah started us. And this is the Bequia Beach Hotel.
Okay, I have some photos for Bequia as well.
Great. So Bequia, I fell in love with when I visited, and we were saying that it's funny. That's actually where Sarah and I sort of cemented our friendship on a press trip there. But this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous island in the Grenadines. It's about 7 square miles, about 5,000 people as a population. You're not going to find any traffic lights here. You're not going to find any neon signs, no chain restaurants, no chain hotels. Absolutely gorgeous. Similar to what Sarah was describing, it takes a little bit of a hop and a jump to get there. I think for Bequia, you're going to fly into Barbados or St. Lucia and then hop over to Bequia, or you can, I think, fly to St. Vincent and take a ferry, which is going to take you a lot longer. So most people would do the double flight. And for about 10 years now, I think, Bengt, who's the affable owner and hotelier who runs Bequia Beach Hotel, has been running it there on the island, and it is just this gem of a destination. You get into this place and immediately feel at home, and that really is in large part to Bengt, I would say, and to the mood he sets there and the staff that are there and how they welcome you. You have a choice of different areas of the property that you can stay on. You're looking at the gorgeous pool. I believe there's at least 2, maybe 3 pools on that main property. But what I also loved about Bequia Beach Hotel was that they have a couple of offshoot options. So one is they have a yacht that's called the Star of the Sea that can be chartered. It can carry up to 12 guests. It's fully staffed. And I know on our visit there, we took it out to the Tobago Keys. It was just an absolutely, like, if you think it's gorgeous from the property looking out, once you are out on the water out there, it's just another layer to this experience. So you can go to the Tobago Keys, you can go out to Mystique, you can go for a sunset cruise. This is the hotel restaurant, or one of them, where you would probably have, you could dinner, breakfast. I remember one evening they had a wonderful, the bar is close to there as well, and they had some great live music and some good nibbles and fantastic drinks that were enjoyed there. The spaces throughout are luxurious. And what's new is that they're reopening in July, is the planned reopening at this point. And they've got some new villas that they're launching for the festive season this year. So these villas, I actually made sure I had a note on them. It's the Friendship Bay Estate Villas. And we're talking about 5,500 square feet to 7,000 square feet villas that you can rent on a 1-acre property. So think about, a small wedding, a yoga retreat, girlfriend's getaway, that sort of thing. 5 ensuite bedrooms in the bigger one, takes 10 guests. You've got your kitchen, you've got your breakfast bar, your gym, your wine cellar, your private butler service, everything you need right there and waiting for you. And if anyone is looking for a holiday gift for me, I will accept. Just leave your name in the chat. I will happily accept a festive season stay at a Friendship Bay Estate Villa. So, I just personally, I fell in love with Bequia. I loved, we did some walks there. Sarah, do you remember the name of the path we walked?
Belmont Walkway.
Unbelievable. Just this stunning path along the waterway. At times, you're climbing up through rocks, nothing treacherous. And eventually we ended up at Jack's Beach Bar, which is also affiliated with the hotel, had some great Caribbean food nibbles, looking out at the water, sun chairs, just a fabulous, fabulous stay. Highly recommend it. And it sounds like, between Petit St. Vincent and Bequia, you could get down to the Grenadines and spend some good time.
I agree. Grenadines are go.
Is it a boater's paradise as well? I saw a lot of boats in the harbor.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like, because it's the same grenadines that Sarah was just talking about. So yeah, you've got a lot of people who are coming down there on yachts and boats, and that the Star of the Seas is that exactly.
Great. Well, theme of today, thank you ladies for sharing those amazing destinations. Typically, I had been to a few in the past, and I haven't been to any, so lots of things added to my bucket list. So today's focus is we're all, I think, feeling a little bit of loss of identity for us that we're on planes, some weekly, some monthly, some quarterly. At least I am. I don't know. Are you ladies? What was your travel schedule like prior to this?
Insane, borderline insane. I was going probably 2 weeks out of a month, not necessarily in one stint, but I would be gone for about half a month every month. And I had a calendar that was full. So the hardest thing, I think, was once COVID-19 struck and it was clear that we weren't going to be hopping on planes right away, was that, that moment when you're wiping off the calendar and clearing it of all these fantastic destinations that you had lined up for the next few months. So I usually book probably at least a quarter in advance, and wiping all of that off was quite traumatic.
How about you, Sarah?
So I traveled about 3 times every month. So my trips are not long because they're mostly Caribbean. So I'm spending between 3, like a 5-night trip is a long trip for me, but 3 to 5 nights doing that every month, 3 times a month. So I would always joke that my second home was Miami International Airport and the Centurion Lounge because, I'm fancy. But yeah. But it was honestly kind of heartbreaking for me, as Heather's talking about watching all the things fall off the calendar. I keep a Google calendar, and just having to cross off, I think 5 trips just fell apart.
Yeah.
I last traveled on March 7th. I was in Belize, on an island called Reiki, another private island resort. I told them private island girl. And I came home on March 7th, and basically everything changed immediately after that. So it's been a real adjustment to be a traveler and a travel writer who's not traveling, who's actually in one spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's the same. It's on the one hand, I'm an introvert personality, so being home is great. And like I said, I'm married. I have 2 kids. My oldest is about to go off to university. And so, having the extra time at home with him has been wonderful. I didn't think that travel was, it's a part of my lifestyle. It's a part of my personality, but I didn't think of it as something that I couldn't be without. And I'm surprised at how much I miss it. But at the same time, I am really enjoying being home and the time I'm spending here as well. So it's a mixed bag.
Have you?
I think I have to agree.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Stephanie.
You go.
I was gonna say I have to agree with Heather that as we're all travelers. It's part of our lifestyle, and so we think we know how important it is to us, and it's not really like with anything else. It's not until it's taken away that you really, truly recognize. For me, anyway, how big, not just how big a part of my life it was, because like Heather, my life by design, I jam-packed with stuff, with trips. That's just, I like to be busy. I like to be running around the world. But I did not realize until I had to just come to a full halt. I didn't realize how much travel was actually a part of me as a person, not just a job that I do and love, not just a passion, but the things I had a chance to sit down finally and realize what I'm missing from travel, apart from being moving. And I wrote them down because these 5 things I miss. I miss the excitement of travel, the novelty of travel, the stimulation of travel and my creativity, the interaction with people, and just the inspiration that I get for so many things in my life from travel. I don't think you can, I think if you've caught the travel bug, I don't think you can overstate just how important it is to you. It may seem to other people And obviously it is a privilege, but it may seem like something that's superfluous, but it's not at all. I think it's really part of the substance of who I am.
But just I would add to that at least for me, yes, I miss the travel, but it has been such a great thing to have some time to stop and think as well. We tend to move at a pace that is just this rapid clip, and to finally have some time. I'll just give you an example, which is I realized that before we went away on our year-long trip all those years ago, one of the things that happened is, you're super, super busy leading up to the trip. And then suddenly you go and, it's like it's all up to fate now. Whatever happens next happens next. There's no more packing of boxes at home. There's no more preparing for this. You're in it. You're on it. And there was a real relief for me and for my family, I think, when we finally left and went off on that trip. We got rid of all of the play dates at home and all of the obligations at home. And there was that relief. And I actually think I felt that and feel that a bit about what's happened here. It was this hard stop where all of a sudden it didn't matter, all of the millions of things that were on your to-do list that were spinning or what have you, everything came to a stop. And now you had this time where you could finally sort of sit and be still and think through, okay, I can take a breath here. And what do I want to do next? Where do I want to go next? What do I want to do with this real luxury and gift of travel that I do have, so that when it's time to go again, I can be reinvigorated and ready to tackle it all over again. So I'm really appreciative, actually, of the time to slow down a bit and breathe and think it through. Sometimes I was making decisions, I think, about where I went next, just based on what was next in my inbox or what I had on my to-do list, as opposed to what travel really called to me or struck me as important.
I like that. And I think we've all experienced that. I think we've kind of gone through the stages of grief, maybe, where like first we're like, no, and then we have some sadness and then some kind of acceptance. And then we're like, okay, now we'll take this time and kind of reevaluate. How have you all been filling that void of travel?
Sarah, you filling that void?
It is possible. And essentially, I guess my days have now become run, because I run in the morning. I have found actually running has been a real linchpin and an anchor for me during this crazy time. It's the one thing I would say, it's my 1 hour of normalcy that I have, because even with my travel schedule, I would always run in the morning. Even if I had a 7 a.m. flight, I would get up early and run pre-dawn. So I've continued to do that, and that's really been helpful. But it's basically been running, brand building, rest, repeat. I say brand building because basically all the work that I'm doing now essentially is brand building, I think. And I'm also getting some really good night's sleep. I would never sleep more than 5 hours. I think I'm making up for it now. I'm like asleep by 8:30, but I am up at 5:30, so that's not that bad, right? Tell me that's not that bad. But yeah, there's a lot of sleeping. There's a lot of sleeping. There's a lot of running, and then the days are spent brand building my Jet Set Sarah brand. So whether I'm on social media, trying to, inspire people, I decided that I needed to do two things. Since I could no longer travel and I have an audience that is vested in me traveling, I thought, well, okay, I need to inspire and I need to inform. So everything that I am doing right now goes to one or both of those buckets. So I relaunched a whole series of videos, because I do videos on my on many places that I go. So I relaunched them on Instagram, on Instagram Live. I have a website, jetsetsarah.com, and I told you I'm into fashion and style. So I did a whole roundup of where you can buy the super cutest, coolest face mask in the Caribbean, whether you're in Antigua or Anguilla. And then on Fridays, I have these Jet Set chats on Instagram, because that's my favorite platform. I have these Jet Set chats with people in the destination. So last week week before last, I had Francine from Grenada. She works at Silva Sands Resort. So she was telling us what it's like there under the lockdown, and then giving us a local's perspective of, where to stay, what to do, what to eat, all of that stuff, so that people are, most importantly, inspired to travel again, because of course we will travel again. It's just a question of when.
Yeah.
I've been watching those and they're excellent. Do you want to share your Instagram with everyone, Sarah?
Oh, yes. So I am Jet Set Sarah on everything. Jet Set Sarah with an H. JetSetSarah.com is my website, and on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, I'm Jet Set Sarah. But I'm the most fun on Instagram. That's the platform I enjoy the most. So if you're going to pick one, just pick Instagram.
Yeah, it's for me too. Void filling has been, not so much brand building, but I am still writing. So I am still writing travel pieces, and I am still, a lot of the stories I've done of late are COVID-19 related. So whether it's, trying to sort of crystal ball forward and figure out what travel might look like, or talking about ways, there's a piece I did about a hotel in Vancouver. I'm in Canada, by the way, but there was a piece about a hotel in Vancouver that, converted itself to be able to help first responders and frontline workers who needed a place to rest or wanted to have a shower and a nap before they went home to their families after working at the hospital that was nearby. So, there's been interesting way of sort of mixing the elements of that travel writing with what people need to know now. And then, there's also been a lot of just Scrabble playing, and I'm learning to garden, which, I have 2 black thumbs, literally and figuratively. And so, we'll pray for my plants, but we've planted a few things, and just sort of really trying to, like I said, sit back and accept that this is something I cannot change, and, roll with it.
Sounds like you're grounding too, figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
Super grounded. So let's jump into a little industry talk. How do you see the future of travel changing?
Ooh, you know what? I think that this travel is now we're going to be much more thoughtful and considered about the places that we go to. If only because it's probably not going to be a spur of the moment decision anymore. You're not going to be able to decide at 9 a.m., you know what, let's rock up to the airport and see where we can go. I think the fact that we're now going to have their protocols in place and everything's going to take so much longer, and the decision-making process is so much more involved, people will be more intentional and think more seriously about, where do I want to go next? Because, of course, now travel involves an element of a risk that didn't have before. And so I think that will make us more thoughtful about where we're going. And then when we get there, I think, certainly for me, I will be tempted to stay longer. I don't necessarily just want to spend 3 nights, because I really want to absorb and take in the vibe of where I am. I don't just want to do a flyby. So I think that people will just decide that, let's take our time. Let's enjoy the time with our family that we have together that we haven't seen because, we've been distant from them for so long. Let's go somewhere that we all really want to go to, and then let's really just absorb it when we get there.
Yeah, I agree. I think people will be more thoughtful about travel. I also think, that we might see a spike in solo travelers. I think we're all spending a lot of time with people. I think it might go both ways. So those of us who are spending a lot of time with people might be opting for solo, and people who really miss people might be trying to get together with small groups and do.
That's a great point.
Event travel. Great point. Yeah, it'll probably go both ways. I think we're going to see a lot of tech inventions. I did an interview the other day where someone mentioned the concept of cleanliness theater, and the idea that, a lot of hotels in particular, but destinations and resorts, restaurants, what have you, are going to be trying to show us just how clean they are, and we're going to have to sort of learn how to juggle and figure out, which part of that cleaning that we're seeing is actually keeping us protected and safe, and which part of it really is just for show and, what have you. And someone also made the point that, there's a time only a few months ago when if somebody was going around spraying everything and, looking with UV lights, we'd all be like, we don't want any part of that. And suddenly that's going to be something that sort of draws us out to destinations. So I think we're going to see a change similar to we did after 9/11. I think things that seem odd and strange today will become commonplace and normal very quickly.
Face masks, for example.
Face masks.
I'm all about the fashionable face masks. Somehow I have already amassed a collection of 7 fabric face masks. And I have not been on a plane. I know. And I haven't been on a trip. But I'm prepared. If I need to go tomorrow, I've got some really cute face masks.
That's fabulous. I agree, Heather. I think the fourth wall of hospitality is going to disappear. Like where we did this stuff in the background, and it was always the secret little. People are going to want to see that in the forefront.
Yeah, at least for the short term.
Yeah.
But let me just say that I think, isn't it amazing how an industry that is built on hospitality and touch and feeling and closeness and intimacy, how it's going to have to be revolutionized to somehow still give you that feeling of genuine welcome. But at the same time, hands off, don't touch, we don't even want you to come to the front desk now. Just use your phone and swipe on the door and get straight in. You're hermetically sealed with a sticker door. I think it's really going to be interesting to watch how we do all of the sanitation protocols and distancing protocols that we need to do, but somehow still try to convey that sense of warmth and welcome.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, I think, for hoteliers, particularly luxury brands, who've sort of prided themselves on proximity a lot of times, right? We're right here for you and we're going to do what you need. Suddenly having to stand back, I think it's going to be it'll be interesting to watch for sure.
Amazing.
I wonder if it's also the messaging of paying closer attention to body language now too.
Yeah.
Since we can't be so close together, it's that body language, it's the expressions, it's the smile. So it's more of that empathy that will be coming through. So we're tuned in to what you had said before, Sarah, with the dinner without seeing. So the senses,
right?
Our senses will most likely be amplified now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In different ways.
Right.
Heather, do you have a family trip planned before your son goes off to college? I believe it's your son, right?
Yeah, we did. Both boys. So we did have a family trip planned. We were going to go out to British Columbia, and we had a great trip that was planned that would take us to northern BC and some really beautiful spots. But, here in Canada, even interprovincial travel is sort of frowned upon at the moment. We're all sheltering in place. And I think we've had to pull the plug on that one. It was going to be in early June. And it's just not safe to do that right now. It's not the right time, but we will do it at some point. So no trips planned. And I think part of that too is a little bit of a reaction to the way things have changed so abruptly. I think I'm hesitating a little bit to get back out there and get going again, but I will. I think travel is something that just as humans, it's a part of who we are. We will travel again. We will travel internationally again. But I am in the camp that's sort of looking at, okay, in the short term, maybe it will be the road trips and the RV campings and, just close to me here in Ontario, which, luckily here in Canada, I don't know if you guys have visited but we have tons of amazing things to do right here at home. I'm really proud to be Canadian and to live here. And I do explore it, but I probably don't explore Ontario, specifically where I am, as much as I do some of the other provinces. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity this summer in particular to really explore close to home and get to know that and even, increase my appreciation for this country.
How about you, Sarah? Any staycations planned in the future? near
You know,
future?
I live in Miami, so I have no doubt that at some point during the summer, there will be a staycation or two. And you know, as Heather was saying, you know, I absolutely know that I will travel again. I'm very proud, as everyone I'm sure knows. So the Caribbean is my beat. I'm really proud of the way the Caribbean in general has handled. The spread of COVID-19. There are many islands that are declaring themselves COVID free. And in general, we've had, you know, relatively few, of course, any death is a disaster, but relatively few deaths and many, many recoveries. So I feel very optimistic that I might very well get back to the Caribbean. I mean, places like Anguilla, which is declaring themselves COVID free, I'd be there tomorrow if not for the fact that I'm still concerned, I'm still not comfortable about the airport experience and the in-flight experience. If I could click my heels together and all of a sudden be on a Caribbean island, if I could be on Petit St. Vincent or Bequia Beach Hotel, absolutely. Unfortunately, I can't, and so that for me is the hurdle for international travel. It's the airport experience. Oh,
Yeah,
I was going to say the in-flight too, but I've been reading actually that in-flight isn't as bad if you take proper precautions and wear your mask all the time and sanitize and all that stuff. That really the filtration systems on planes are pretty darn good, and you're safer in a plane than you are in just inside in a room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an epidemiologist. I have no idea. But I'm hearing them say that, and it's giving me comfort. Not enough comfort to jump on the plane quite yet, but it's giving me a tiny bit of comfort and confidence that absolutely I will get on a plane. I mean, I can't be Jet Set Sarah and not get on a plane. Grounded Sarah doesn't have quite
not quite the same ring.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
We do have an audience
question. We have a question here. We have a question here from Vivian, and she'd love to hear about any COVID initiatives that you've seen from hotels, destinations that have launched over the past weeks. So, which did you love, and which ones totally missed the mark?
Sorry, I did not hear that question at all. So
yeah,
I'm going to answer it. So go ahead.
I think they're looking to hear if you know of any travel destinations that have kind of relaunched or been putting themselves out there. Any good marketing techniques?
Yeah, Portugal sent out a video that I thought was really well done. You know, and a lot of places have done this that sort of said, you know, we understand you can't come now. We're putting your health and safety first too. We're protecting our, place, and we're protecting you. We can't wait to see you later. But I just thought it was all filmed, I think, on an iPhone and while social distancing and the whole 9 yards. And it really brought me there. So I think that the pieces, the COVID-19 sort of messaging that has resonated most with me has felt heartfelt. Not overly produced, no, big tagline message, just really simple statements about, we get it. We're all going through this thing together. We're humans here too. And yes, we want your dollars. That's very clear in the fact that there's marketing happening, but we love this planet. We love having you here. We can't wait till you come back. That's been the sort of thing that resonates with me. Yeah.
I think those are the key messages really that consumers want to hear. They want to know, show them what they're missing, tell them that you're getting ready for them, and tell them that you're going to be welcoming them back when the time is right. Mm-hmm. I think every one of us in the industry is grappling, and is some more successfully than others, but trying to make sure that when this pent-up demand for travel is released, that X hotel or X destination is top of mind. So I think smart marketers now are really just trying to inspire people and show them, look, you can't come here right now, but look what we have waiting for you.
Yeah. And so many people are planning right now where they want to go. So I think the messaging is smart and timely, because it means it's giving people something to, salivate over and think about as they plan what they do next.
Great. Any fun Caribbean destinations, Sarah?
Are
that
there
have
any fun? Are you asking me if there are any fun Caribbean destinations?
No.
Because they're all fun. They're all fun, Stephanie.
I didn't word that right. Any particular Caribbean destination? Because I think they do a great job of bringing that fun element. I've seen some great stuff out of Grenada and different things like that. Anything that you've seen?
Everything I've seen has been good. I'm not sure that anything right now that I can recall that on the top of my head that's really stood out. But I think that the Caribbean has done a good job in reminding people we're still here. We're not we're waiting for you and reassuring people that when they get there they'll be safe.
I think too that all of these places have to be really clear and focused on making sure that we understand who's open and who's not open. I think there's a lot of confusion right now, about where you can go and when you can go. And, because everybody, pockets, even of the US, pockets are open and pockets aren't. And I think that can be very confusing for a consumer. And I think that might actually stymie people booking their vacations sooner than they might, because they're just not clear about where they could go if they did want to go. And so the easiest thing to do is just sort of stay put. So I think if there was something that I would say that destinations could do better, it would be to be very clear in conveying, whether it's to travel advisors or to the media, when are you open? When are you opening? What is the plan? What is the status? What are you doing to protect people? Those are all the questions that people are asking about these destinations. So you might as well answer them up front.
Yeah, the opening thing is a good point, especially in the Caribbean where you have 30-something islands that people are traveling to. But I think so far, I know June 1st, so yesterday, the USVI opened, Antigua opened. We know St. Lucia is going to open June 4th. We know Jamaica is opening June 15th. So, I think the Caribbean has done well in terms of, letting people know what dates, which island is coming back. What I think is confusing to people, certainly from a Caribbean point of view, and particularly with cruising also, an island will say, or a cruise line, for example, will say, we're going to be back in the water August 10th. And then, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any of those destinations are open yet. The borders have to be open for you to go there. So, travel companies, I believe, need to be led. Obviously they have an agenda, but they need to be led by the actual destinations themselves. Because as a travel company, obviously you're signaling to your consumers, we're not dead in the water. We're going to come back. But at the same time, and to your shareholders and whatever, but at the same time, you can't go somewhere. You can't open a hotel if your destination's airports are not open. You cannot cruise somewhere if the port is not open. So I think, particularly for the Caribbean, that causes confusion because travel companies announce their intention to start business again on X date, but that is in they have no idea when the actual border of the place is going to be open.
Right.
I too think there's been a lot of miscommunication with flights. So people aren't getting proper information from airlines. So you'll be booked on a flight, you'll be ready to go, and they'll be like, we're not going to fly today.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Stephanie.
Froze.
Uh-oh.
But I agree.
We did too. Can you guys see her? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Sophia.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
No, I do.
Great, fantastic. Well, we have.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I was just going to say that we want to be careful, especially when we talk about things like cruise lines and what have you, that they really have to be careful because those first cruises that go out, in the next little while are going to be heavily scrutinized. And so really, they would probably do themselves a favor to go slow and make sure they're giving an experience that is above and beyond, anything anyone could have expected because they've had such negative press in the last little while that everybody will be watching.
Yeah.
Completely makes sense.
Yeah.
Have we lost Stephanie for
We
good
are
now?
at. We have her power seems to have gone out.
Oh.
Oh, her power. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Apparently,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, very Caribbean.
Yes.
It's all in a Caribbean theme. That's cool. We just chill out by candlelight. It's fine. No big deal. We have a red stripe.
Exactly.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's
That's not
funny.
exact. I was gonna say drink in hand.
Yeah,
Why not?
it's fine.
Well, it's this hour has flown by, and we've like travel dreamt. We've talked about identity. We've talked about way we've been able to cope with the whole thing that we're dealing with right now. Are there any parting thoughts or things that you'd love to leave us with? Anything that comes to mind, inspiration, anything.
I would just say that, I hope everyone's taking care of themselves during this time and taking whatever time they need to regroup and refocus. And I can't wait to see you all out there once we're going again.
Yeah. I mean, where there's life, there's hope. And I feel as if, I'm not trying to I'm not one of those people who's trying to, bake the sourdough bread and make the banana bread or, learn a new language. No, not gardening either. But I do think that we all will come out of this. We will come out different people and I think better people in a way. Definitely stronger. Because I think this has been an opportunity to discover things about ourselves that we, as Heather said, when you're still and you're not busy rushing around the world, or just around your town, you have time to sit with yourself, be with yourself, tend to yourself, care for yourself. So yeah, I think we'll be better for it. It's a tough time now. It's challenging, no doubt, but I think we will come out of this better people.